this course is really focused on understanding the impact of trauma on marginalized communities from a somatic framework, really, right? So when we think about trauma, we're always thinking about that it's not just a mental experience, but it is a whole body experience. And in particular, our bodies are the front line of trauma. And so when we think about communities that have been identified as lesser or greater based upon just their general appearance, we have to look at what is the impact of body trauma, right? Because as the body goes, so the mind goes. And so any clinician that is desiring to work with marginalized communities desperately need to sign up for this course. For any clinician who needs to deepen their cultural competence, you need to sign up for this course. And I just think this is an excellent course for general humanity, okay? Because we all have interactions and intersections with body trauma. And race is a construct that has impacted every single person on this planet. So I may be biased because I love this course, but I think that anyone can walk into this and find their own story in the stories that are going to be shared. One of the great dilemmas when I speak to clients of color, or even when I have pursued, seeing someone, is will I have to educate this clinician about what is happening to me, which adds another layer of not actually being able to drop into the work, right? I believe as clinicians, we have a responsibility and an accountability to try to understand our clients' lenses, right, with our own content. And then, of course, we collaborate with what they're bringing in, right? And so we are honestly without excuse because we do have the internet and so much research available, as well as just communities around us that can educate. Because again, we want a client to be able to come in and drop down real-time, present moment experience and feel safe with that clinician, that they will hold that story and also will let that story be theirs versus creating some bridge, right? Like, oh, well, this has happened to me. No, if it hasn't happened to you, right, do you have the tools to hold that space and just to match where the client is at? Now, the other piece that we cannot deny is that the school or the industry of psychology is fraught with a very troubled history around how these techniques and tools were used against marginalized communities. So in order for a marginalized community member to come safely to a session, it is deeply important that they see another person of color often that, is with them, right? It's that kind of safe harbor. And so, certainly it is very, very important to be able to see other clinicians of color serving clients of color, but also just that sense that I get you, right? I get you, but I'm not going to be educated by you, right? Unless you want to share something, I'm not seeking to get my cultural competence through you, right? Because that is actually then another continued layer of what the trauma has been in psychology, to study marginalized communities of color for the benefit of research, right? And that is something that we have to eradicate and end. There is a significant disparity and continues to be a disparity in terms of access to mental health for marginalized communities. One can be, the perception of, who will actually be there as allies and advocates for us, but also there's a stigma around it. And so, we need to bridge that gap. We need to be able to even empower leaders within those communities. So I would definitely welcome members or leaders in these marginalized communities to join this course to really understand how to destigmatize mental health services, because we do need to be able to have access and within our own communities as well, right? So it also helps if a person is living in that community or is aware of the dynamics in that community, right? I think just to add that layer, yes, there's a tremendous disparity. We continue as marginalized community members to be underserved for mental health services, but we also have often the more severe presentations because there's a delay in access to those services. What's so important to me, see, my passion as a clinician is to come alongside my clients who have these amazing stories of survival, right? To help them not only build a life worth living, but to have a sense that they are worthy to live. And in that worthiness to live, I love to come alongside with my own stories of survival, right? To help them understand that they're not alone, right? And that there is more. We are more than our trauma stories. We are more than, say, our story of slavery. We have deeper origin stories. In fact, every single person has an origin story that can transcend their worst stories, right? And so that's my passion, to bring them back to their essential origin story that is transformative and transcendent and can continue to evolve.